Peace and welcome to another episode of God Said Wassgood. It is your hostess with the mostest, the spirit woman with an X, aka Tanisha York, aka the real Obia Bad Gal, aka, that real nigga who just happens to have gifts. So, what's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of God Said Wassgood. I got my notes here because that's what I'm a notes girly. Um, let's talk. You know, we're in a new set, welcome to my humble abode. Um, but yeah, we're in a new set and I'm really happy to be here with you guys because I think tonight's episode is going to be enriching, exciting, nourishing in a way that you wouldn't expect. So let's dive right in. Okay. You don't need the tools. You are the channel. Okay, so if you've been following the show or me for a while, first of all, I want to say thank you. And I want to say thank you mostly because you guys have been watching me get it together. Literally bump into stuff as spirit like commands me to do all the things. And I'm finally being obedient, including using this new set. So if you know anything about me, I've been following my journey. I am, in addition to the host of God Said Wassgood, the founder of God Said Wassgood, I am the founder of the Spirit Woman Limited Co., which is the spiritual company that runs all of these little things. And I'm also the owner of the Spirit Collective, the School of Spiritual Science. This is a school for melanated healers who are looking to activate their gifts, use them to monetize and make, not only make mastery in the world, but also monetize and bring money into their lives. But yeah, I teach at the school that I founded, the Spirit Collective School of Spiritual Science, where we focus on energetics, science of the mind, and mastery of magic, like the the thing that makes magic happen. And one of the number one rules of the Spirit Collective School of Spiritual Science, you know what? Pause. This school is like an HBCU meets Hogwarts, right? If you ever wanted to go to a school to learn ritual and magic and gifts and like how to make magic happen in real life, this is the school. This is what we do at that school. And one of the main rules of my school is that there are no tools allowed. Now, you might hear that and be like, wait a minute, what does she mean no tools allowed? Let me tell you. So it's no tools allowed, meaning that all practice, because it's a school of mastery, of magical and spiritual mastery, it is about liberating the practitioner from the tools and moving them into the ritual and the practice within themselves, right? So when spirit came to me and was like, no tools allowed, at first, even I had a problem with it. I was like, oh, what do you mean? But what became really clear was that while a lot of spiritualists and healers are gifted directly, they have a lot of spiritualists and healers, especially the melanated kind, can sometimes have an over reliance on tools. I'm talking about cards, I'm talking about pendulums, I'm talking about um scrying, whatever you use to divine. Sometimes melanated people can have a over reliance on those things because of technically racism, right? A lot of our practices, no matter what tradition, want to make a segue, the school is also non-tradition specific, meaning any spiritualist from any tradition can come into this space. I'm talking about from Christian to ATR to Muslim to I don't know, y'all. Basically the only people we don't really let in is Satanists and atheists. You know what I'm saying? I don't play them games. You know what I'm saying? The whole idea of the school is, well, let's go back to melanated people. The reason why I don't allow tools in the space is because the school's focus is on getting the practitioner to use their magic as God created her. Okay? Well, as God is the her, as God created you, right? So the goal is to bring the spiritualist and the healer into a space with themselves off of the tools so that they can connect to the gifts that God gave them when she created them, right? So we all have natural gifts that show up. Some of us are channelers, some of us are mediums, some of us are herbalists, some of us are doulas and death doulas and, ancestral practice. Like we all have these gifts like that we can use and see and put into the world, but we don't know how to use them. And I say racism is the thing that makes us reliant on tools because when all of our traditions and all of our faiths and all of our practices were being like put down and demonized, we found ways to make the things that we know and that we knew legit. Like it wasn't enough to be Claire, whatever, right, as a Black person without being targeted or a melanated person without being targeted. We also had to like use cards and things to now validate the gift. Right, which is so weird because in church you would just call it anointings. But when you have people who are really in the spiritualism of, what they learned from church, what they learned from a tradition, now it's got to be filtered through a bunch of tools. And so at the school, we are restoring the relationship between the channel, the being, and the divine. God, her. She's a her in my world. She's a her, a they, and then a him in that order usually, but always a her. So yeah, so like the reason why I'm talking about tools tonight is because I want to show you that while your tools are valuable, you did come here with gifts of your own. And it would behoove you to learn how to use them and use them well and to regain integrity with yourself so that when a tool does come into play, you're using the tool, it's not using you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, let's keep going. So a lot of people, non-melanated folks, have come in and like taken over our practices and our traditions, right? They want to tell us what to do with our magic and kind of manage how we use it. And what has happened to the spiritual space, it has become this like really interesting hodgepodgey ass thing where anybody can get some, right? And you have like watered down versions of your magic being perpetuated in the industry. And so what do? We think that to survive and to like compete, we have to do the same thing. So we're spiritually bypassing, our gifts as source gave them to us and using the cards to validate a reading or using the pendulum to validate the thing that you hear. There's clairaudience, clairsent. I don't know all the clairs. There's 6 of them though, right? You can hear, you can see, you feel, you taste, and you smell, I think. And that's just 6 of them, right? And we know that we live in a multidimensional world. So the act of having a spiritual gift in the first place means that you're existing in that multidimension. That means that somewhere in these dimensions, you have been given the ability to see and interact with a piece of the realm that I can't see and interact with, right? And so what we're trying to do or what we're doing in the school is getting people back in alignment with those inherent natural gifts so that when God is guiding you, you can't get ripped off by anybody because God is guiding you and because you have strengthened and practiced and ritualized how you hear from spirit all alone without the tools. Make sense? So I have students that come into the school that, learn and discover that their gifts are glamour magic. I have one student, glamour magic and house magic. Specifically, her rituals and her tools are into the home and it would seal the space. I have another student, when I first met him, he did nothing but tarot. Everything he did was tarot, 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 tarot. I remember when I met him, I was like, but you have the gift of channeling. You don't switch places with spirit, but they come down. And he was like, yeah, but I'm shy to use that. Duh. You know, I have another person, another student, his gift is through music. He is naturally gifted in what you would call Reiki. That's the only term that we have for it, but energetic movement of energy through the person's body, through his hands, the laying on of hands. He has to get the laying on of hands that he also uses to mix and DJ, right? So these are the types of things I'm talking about. One of my gifts that I don't really tell people about often is frequencies. So for some people, you feel a vibe. One of the gifts that my ancestors gave me is I have the ability to see. I can see vibrational lines between people, objects, and things, right? Animals too, I can see it. So when I'm looking at someone, not only I might be seeing the spirits that walk with them, but I also see the frequency literally vibrating off of them, right? One of my other gifts is that, I was fortunately given permission to by a specific deity to be able to borrow her magic, so that when I met people who needed to know how to open their gifts, I was able to help them. So what I'm saying in all of these little stories that I'm sharing is that, like, listen, I know you love your tools, but you got to put them down. It's time for spiritualists and healers and practitioners to get to the nitty gritty, right? To understand that, like, you do not have to be dependent upon anyone that is not you, right? But you get to that stance of independence by understanding and knowing, your own spirit, your higher self, right? In my world, there's a ritual that we do and there's a meditation that we do to introduce you to your higher self so you develop a relationship with them, or what we would call your Ori in some traditions, right? You have to get to know your ancestors, the people and the spirit guides and the beings that walk with you in this life, whether they're physical ancestors or spirit ancestors or spiritual team. Who are the beings that walk with you, right? And you have to get to know the divine as she exists on her own. Because I promise you, baby, when she created you, she made you perfect, right? It's just a series of how the gifts get activated in real time. And our gifts get activated by use of them. So the more you use your natural inherent gifts, the more gifts you'll find come online, if that's meant to be your path. But I haven't seen it not work that way yet, right? The student I'm talking about who came to the school, and I revealed to her that she had the gift of glamour magic, she'd be using that joint left and right? To make things shift in her life and really embody that gift and that skill that she has. And what I'm explaining to you is a process of liberation. We put down the tools to liberate ourselves from the constructs that our society has created around what it means to be magical, right? The whole reason why, Harry and them go to Hogwarts is because to be better at their craft, they have to be educated in a space that is not of the regular world. They have to be immersed in it. And for a lot of healers and practitioners, yeah, you have your cards, yeah, you have your decks, yeah, you have your tools, but you're not immersed enough in the ritual of what it means to just be magical on your own. And that's the work that we have to do. Okay. So I need you guys to trust me. Okay. And know that I ain't telling no tales. You get what I'm saying? This really is something that you are inherently meant to do, whatever your gifts are. Because be honest, a lot of people will never take up this path. They'll never be like, I'm gonna listen to everything that God tells me, I'm gonna do everything she asked me to do, because they're just not feeling it. It takes a lot of courage to liberate yourself from what we call the matrix, or the main conscious mind, or the hive mind that everyone speaks of, to say, I'm gonna go to Hogwarts. You know what I'm saying? Like, you literally got to take the little buggy and run into a wall, right? To get through to the other side and board the train that's for you. So lay off the tools. Trust me, you're not going to regret it. It might feel a little scary now, but like, ultimately you won't regret it, right? Let me see. So when you are meant to use your gifts, they will start to make themselves known. When you are meant to move into mastery, you will find that you feel a little bit of a glitch. And the whole thing is like, it's not so that you never go back to your tools. We just want to strengthen your receivership. We want to strengthen and define your own mastery. We want you to, when you enter a conversation with spirit, that even if you don't have tools or you don't have that thing, there's no excuse as to why you can't just get busy. You know what I'm saying? Like, why you can't just drop into the knowing, right? And so that's what we do when we create these things. And so the overall message here is that you are the channel. You just are, babes. And you have to figure out a way to liberate yourself from the collective mind, right? And so there are many ways, but I can tell you for the most part, get you a teacher, get you a practice, get with your ancestors, get with yourself. Understand who you are spiritually, energetically speaking, and then let that pathway open up for you. Let God tell you who you are. You know what I'm saying? One of the first things that we do with all the students that come into the School of Spiritual Science is they all get an energetic reading from me, which includes their human design, their numerology, and their gene keys, to know the energetic codings that make them up, that go along with their gifts and their lived experiences. And me and the student will sit down and we'll talk about this, and I'll present them with other gifts that spirit told me that they have, whether they know it or not, and give them kind of like a good grasp. And then from there, that session we create their spiritual strategy, their literal energetic blueprint and roadmap to what it means to exit hive mind, the matrix, run through that column and get on the right train. Their roadmap to do that, right? Because every spirit has a different strategy, activation code, sequence, blueprint that aligns them with the divine and keeps their spirit grounded and their body grounded and in sync, right? And then they go down the path of liberation. You know what I'm saying? And so in my school, we have a thing called CSLP. It's a Certified Spiritual Liberation Practitioner Certificate, which is me teaching, healers and practitioners, not only how to use your gifts, but the deeper understanding of the spiritual laws, right? And the universal spiritual laws that guide every one of us, and the universal spiritual fears that stop every one of us at each spiritual law. Okay? Science of the mind, spiritual energetics, in addition to magic and ritual time, right? Because when you have an understanding about the world that you're in, the natural world as it exists, and then the fake world that has now created itself around the natural world, you have a better strategy on how to navigate things as a gifted person, right? You have a deeper understanding of how to not really give up when you feel overwhelmed by whatever your calling is, right? And when you get enough ritual, enough practice as a melanated person using your own gifts, baby, you liberated for real. You know what I'm saying? You really that nigga for real. So yeah, don't be afraid to go down the path of spiritual mastery. All of us in my framework, I talk about what I call the hierarchy of ascension. This is what I call it. I'll teach it one day. But the hierarchy of ascension talks about the order in which a being, a person, has to go through to get to a place where they claim their personal freedom as God created it for them. And so that is the path that you're on. If you're in life, you are in the game of personal freedom, ascension. You gotta do it, honey. You gotta work towards it. You gotta go towards it. You gotta run towards it. You gotta be in that thing until you're not. You get what I'm saying? Okay. So just remember, you don't need the tools. You are the channel. You have to get better at getting in rooms where you can be the channel. And so I invite you to anyone in my spaces, click any links in bio. You'll see my upcoming classes for the public. And if you want to talk about joining the School of Spiritual Science, that link is also open for you too. So until next time, this has been a lovely and dope episode of God Said Wassgood. I'm your hostess with the mostest. Here's my question. If God said wassgood, what would be your answer? Peace.